I always believed betrayal comes with warning signs, subtle shifts in tone, colder kisses, or missed goodnights. But with her, it was silence that screamed the loudest. I came home early one night, flowers in one hand and in the other, keys to the dream apartment we were supposed to move into. She wasn't expecting me. I wasn't supposed to hear the laughter behind our bedroom door or the way she whispered his name like it was holy. I didn't barge in. I didn't drop the flowers. I just stood there, a man carved from stillness, learning in one heartbeat that love can be blind and foolish, but betrayal sees everything. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't break. I became quiet, and in that quiet, something cold woke up in me, a plan, a promise. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to end her world slowly, just like she ended mine. The next morning, she kissed me like nothing happened, said she loved me, asked if I'd remembered the milk. I smiled. Of course I did. My heart didn't beat. It calculated. Over breakfast, I told her I got promoted. More money, better hours. Her eyes widened like jackpot lights. Greed flashed faster than guilt. That's how I knew for sure. She wasn't sorry. She was waiting for the day she could trade me in for something shinier. She thought I was a fool blinded by love. She had no idea I saw her text messages, no clue I had copies of every whisper she sent to that man. No idea her betrayal wasn't just personal, it was perfect. She underestimated silence. She underestimated patience. But most of all, she underestimated how far a man can go when the love dies but the hurt stays burning. I started with the bank, quietly moved money from our joint account to one she didn't know existed. I made it look like it was all going to bills and investments. She never questioned it. She was too busy planning weekend getaways with him, ones I was quietly funding. I smiled through it all, bought her roses, cooked her dinner, kissed her forehead at night. Each touch, a brick in the wall I was building around her. She didn't notice the cracks forming in her illusion of control. I studied her like a map. I watched how she smiled at her phone, how she left the room to take calls, how she changed her passwords but never her habits. Love made me blind once. Betrayal made me focused. I wasn't planning revenge. I was orchestrating it. Slowly, quietly, completely. Next came her job. She always bragged about being irreplaceable, about how the boss trusted her more than anyone. I smiled and nodded. What she didn't know was that her boss and I played poker every second Friday, and he owed me more than a few favors. A single email, a few screenshots, and a little nudge toward an anonymous tip, and suddenly her workplace wasn't so cozy anymore. She came home furious one day, ranting about audits, files gone missing, strange questions. I held her, told her it would pass. She thanked me for being her rock. Meanwhile, the cracks were spreading, faster now. Her reputation was already halfway in the grave. All I had to do was keep her distracted. She was too busy dancing in her false safety to see the storm forming around her. One night, she came home late, lipstick smudged, hair tousled, perfume too heavy. I asked nothing. I offered wine. She smiled like I was still blind. I watched her drink it, knowing the contents of that glass wouldn't harm her body, but would poison her future. Not literally, just enough to make her sleep deep while I copied her hard drive, photographed every document, every hidden message she kept stashed in her private folder marked insurance. I wasn't just ending her lies, I was taking away her backup plans. The man she betrayed me with, I tracked his wife, sent her everything. I didn't need to confront my enemy. I just needed to let truth do the destroying. And the truth, when exposed at the right time, is louder than any revenge. I hired a private investigator, someone clean, discreet, with no emotional involvement. Within a week, I had footage, timestamps, even receipts, hotel check-ins, secret dinners, the way she used our money to fund her affair. Every detail was logged and dated. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I crafted a file so airtight it could shatter her if leaked. I started sending anonymous messages to her boss, to her parents, to friends who once told me I was lucky to have her. I let the doubt seep in, let her world shake while I kept my calm. She started waking up anxious, checking locks twice, looking over her shoulder. She didn't know why, but I did. Guilt and fear are powerful tools when placed in the right hands. I didn't want justice. I wanted erasure. The man she chose over me, he was no prince. He had a record, debts, a temper. I fed that fire too, slipped him a few lies, made them feel like a seed and watched it grow into suspicion. He began to pull away. She started panicking, asking if I thought he was losing interest. I told her she was imagining things. I played the supportive boyfriend while I slowly stole every foundation she stood on. Her smile faded more each week. I pretended not to notice. Every lie she told cracked her own glass castle. I didn't have to lift a hammer. All I had to do was wait for gravity to do its job. She lost her job. Official reason, misconduct and breach of policy. Real reason? Me. I comforted her, took her out for dinner, told her we'd figure it out. Meanwhile, I'd already leaked the rest of her digital secrets to a few key people who would ensure she'd never find work in her field again. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I simply watched her unravel while holding her hand. She cried into my chest, whispering fears about the future. I told her I'd always be there for her. She believed me, because monsters don't always wear masks. Sometimes they wear the same face you kissed goodnight, and sometimes the one you betrayed is the one writing your ending with a smile. I changed the locks, quietly. I filed the paperwork, secretly. The apartment she loved, it was never in both our names. She just assumed. And assumptions, I learned, are deadly. One morning, I asked her to grab some groceries. While she was out, I packed every trace of her and left it at her sister's doorstep. Then I vanished. New number, new address, new life. She called from a borrowed phone, sobbing, screaming, begging. I blocked it. She showed up at my old work. I was already gone. She emailed. I let her words rot in my inbox. The silence I used to suffer under became my greatest weapon. She taught me that silence hurts more than shouting ever could. So I gave it to her in full. A month passed. She was jobless, homeless, and alone. The man she cheated with ghosted her after I exposed his secrets. Her friends? Gone. Her reputation? Dead. The confident, calculating woman who once held my heart now sat outside buildings in clothes too thin for the season. Eyes darting, voice cracked. I watched from a distance one day, just long enough to make sure it was real. Then I walked away. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel pity. I felt done. She gambled with love and bet on greed. And I, the fool she thought would break, simply rebuilt myself from the ashes she left behind. Some stories end with forgiveness. Mine ends with freedom. She tried to rebuild, started an online fundraiser claiming she was a victim of abuse, said I ruined her life, posted blurry pictures and half-truths. I let her scream into a void. Because behind every post I had receipts, proof of every lie, every theft, every betrayal. When people started to believe her, I released the truth, slowly, strategically. I didn't need to defend myself. The facts did it for me. The fundraiser? Taken down. Her followers? Turned on her. The last thread she clung to snapped. She messaged me again after that, said she was sorry, that she missed me, that she didn't know what she was doing. I didn't reply. She didn't deserve closure. She deserved to sit with the silence she gave me for months while I slept beside a stranger. I built a new life, city far away, new career, new name almost. Peace became my luxury. No more pretending, no more lies. Every morning felt lighter, every night quieter. But some nights, I'd think of her, not with longing, but with a strange detachment. She was a lesson now, a scar, not a wound, a name I didn't speak out loud anymore. People asked why I was single. I just smiled and said, some love stories aren't worth repeating. I didn't need revenge anymore. I'd already won. Because the true victory wasn't in watching her fall. It was in knowing I could have destroyed her completely, but chose to disappear instead. That power, that control, it's intoxicating when you've once been powerless. Years passed. Her name became a ghost I barely remembered. Until one day, I saw her. In a coffee shop. Older, tired, nervous eyes. She didn't notice me. She was working behind the counter, serving people who didn't know the fire she once walked through. She looked worn, not from time, but from choices. For a moment, I felt something stir. Not hate, not pain, just stillness. She had been everything once. Fire, passion, betrayal. Now she was just a woman refilling sugar trays. I watched her laugh with a customer, and for a second, I wondered if she remembered me. If she ever thought about that night, about what she lost. Then I finished my coffee, left a tip, and walked out without saying a word. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I disagree. True revenge isn't served. It's never placed on a plate or handed over. True revenge is never even noticed until it's too late. It's silent, slow, invisible. It doesn't scream. It erodes. It turns those who wronged you into relics of what they could have been. It doesn't burn bridges. It leaves them standing just long enough for the other person to realize they're stranded. I never raised my voice. I never struck back. I just let the truth run its course and walked away before the dust even settled. That was the power I gained, not in her suffering, but in my escape. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I made sure it would haunt her, long after I forgot the sound of her voice. This story isn't about heartbreak. It's not about revenge either, not really. It's about transformation, about how a man, betrayed and broken, chose not to shatter, about how silence became strategy and pain became purpose. She left me for something shinier, thinking I was the fool, but I turned her gold into dust, her plans into echoes, and in the end, while she counted losses in cold apartments, I was miles away, untouched, unbothered, unknown. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I tell it as a reminder that sometimes the loudest justice is done in silence, that sometimes the most dangerous man isn't the one who yells, it's the one who smiles, watches, and walks away. Forever. And that's exactly what I did.